Tickets are selling at crazy prices for Penn State, Michigan State, with the thoughts that maybe it's Joe Paterno's last home game. And oh, by the way, a trip to the Rose Bowl and a Big Ten title are on the line as well. Hey, how are you folks? Jason Horowitz, glad to be with you on the AT&T College Football Previews here on CBSSports.com. It is number 17 Michigan State at number 7 Penn State. Let's take a look at the Big Ten standings because really that's what's on the line. Penn State wins. They're going to the Rose Bowl for the first time since the '94 season. Now, if the Nittany Lions lose to Michigan State, then the Spartans would go to the Rose Bowl if Ohio State loses to Michigan. Otherwise, if Penn State loses and Ohio State wins, it's the Buckeyes that will go to Pasadena. All right, let's bring in Spencer Tillman to break it all down. And Spence, we don't have to break down the Big Ten standings. We just took care of that. But let's break down Penn State here because there is going to be a ton of buzz in the building on the thought that maybe it's Joe Paterno's last game. It's senior day. You're going to say goodbye to a lot of guys that have helped revive this program. Any way that they come out sluggish like they did last week against Indiana?
Well, there was a key word that you said in that sentence. You said that it may be Joe Pa's last game. And I think that indecision is what probably keeps them a little bit in check. I mean, you can rally around a cause if you know what that cause is. They don't know if Joe Pa's going to retire or if he's going to stay around. I mean, so at the end of the day, I think this team is really kind of in no man's land. And I got to think that they have this overwhelming sense of opportunity lost. Yeah, they took care of Indiana last week and pretty much shut them out. But I think that they look at that one game that got away from them, the major loss of the year for them, and they are that close to getting the national championship. And so, again, I'm not so sure anything is going to do away with that, and even more indecision about Joe Pa's future doesn't help, even on senior day. Yeah,
they were that close. They were 1 point away in losing that game to Iowa from having this game play for a national championship, assuming either Alabama or Texas Tech lose down the stretch. Now, Spence, in the games with Michigan State at Penn State, they aren't usually close. But this seems to be a different Michigan State team.
It really is. Mark D'Antonio, their coach, has done some exciting things on the offensive side of the ball. Remember, last year they lost 6 games by a touchdown or less. They've flipped the script this year and won those difficult games. And yeah, they slipped up a couple of times early, particularly in their opener. But, you know, since that time, the whole personality and character has changed on this team. And I really think the difference has been the health of Javon Ringer. We always know he carries the ball a ton, but in years past, he's always gotten hurt and missed significant time. That's not been the case. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop, but to this point, he's been quite productive for them offensively and continues to buoy them down the stretch run. And I think that they've got a lot to look forward to as a result of his success this year.
But it's been every other week the last 5 or 6. One week it's 150, the next week it's 70 or 80, then back to 140, then back to 70 or 80. This week against Penn State, this could be a trouble-type game for Javon Ringer because this Penn State defense is phenomenal.
Well, they are. They're very active on defense. They've got great linebacker play, again, consistent with their tradition. They've got one of the best in-rushers in the game. So, yeah, they've got some weapons on the defensive side of the ball that will stretch him. But, again, that's where you can't be one-dimensional. You got to have complementary parts that can take some of that pressure off your quarterback. So, again, Javon Ringer's the guy. They're going to go into this contest running him, making Penn State honor that first, and then maybe get some opportunities downfield to throw the ball to loosen that defense up a little bit in that box area.
Now, one of the things that has certainly helped Penn State's defense this year, for the most part, has been its offense. Now, that hasn't been the case necessarily as much of late. This week against Michigan State, because the Spartans are coming off a bye last week, what do you think the key is for them to stopping Penn State's offense?
Well, I'm not sure if they can stop Penn State's offense. I do think Penn State's quarterback, Darryl Clark, can stop himself. You know, a little bit rusty, had a couple of turnovers, fumbles, and an interception, uncharacteristic from him. If you remember the week prior to that, he was coming off a concussion. He looked a little bit cloudy in his performance last week, so I'm not so sure he's completely healed from that. But he's got to be clear-headed when he goes into this contest again so that the cycle doesn't get rolling again where Penn State, you know, because I think in these games you got to be real careful. If you have this big goal up here and you come short, Jason, and don't make it, and then you take care of business against a team that's awful bad, you never really get that sense of satisfaction. Then all of a sudden you find yourself down to a team that's pretty good and feeling good about themselves and looking beyond just beating you at Penn State. They're looking at maybe even a New Year's Day Bowl opportunity if they continue to have the success that they're having. You know, upset here puts them in that mode. I think they have as much to play for as does Penn State.
Well, they absolutely do, and they have a chance for the Big Ten title as well. Who wins the game?
You bet. Well, listen, I'm not going to go for the upset here. I think Penn State will hold serve, but I think it's going to be the closest and most uncomfortable game for Penn State, Iowa withstanding, that they've faced all year.
All right, Spencer T., thank you very much. We'll see you Saturday afternoon on the College Football Today.
All right, Jason, we'll see you, buddy.
And, of course, Spencer's on the College Football Today, preceding the SEC on CBS. And, of course, you could also see SEC Live, presented by AT&T on CBSSports.com. What you're seeing on CBS, streaming live here on the website, it is Ole Miss at number 18 LSU, the battle for second place in the SEC West on the line. So be sure to tune into that. For Spencer Tillman, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.